This is the User Adoption Podcast with your host, Henrik Dagier.
Who are you and what do you do?
Hi, Henrik. Nice to be on your show. My name is Peter Armaly. I'm the Senior Director of Customer Success Enablement with North America Customer Success at Oracle. And what I do is I am responsible for the entire program of designing what sort of training and education we want to provide for our customer success managers, our customer success executives, and our newest role in our organization, partner success managers as well.
Peter, how are you involved with user adoption?
I'm part of a very small team that is responsible for designing the service model, in addition to what I do with designing the education and training. So our small team we design the service model that customer success managers execute on with their customers. And so at a very top level, and I'm going to get to it, but at the very top level of the model is really a success plan with their customers. Every customer gets a success plan, which lays out, during the life of the subscription, what they can expect to need to do to achieve very specific business goals that they've articulated. And we'll map out the milestones that will be part of the journey of getting there, along with any associated KPIs and any sort of tasks that we will undertake and that they need to undertake to achieve these goals. And that's really where I get involved in adoption is making sure that model it contains the right activities that will not just encourage additional adoption by the customer, but actually measure it too. So our products, we're able to see usage, but usage is a single component of what I call, measuring adoption. And there's other considerations like, social activities and community activity and that sort of thing that we can kind of triangulate on to understand how well customers are adopting the product. And then we will layer on top of the service model, additional things like pushing content to customers to encourage them to kind of, use features a different way, to use them in a better way. And we will articulate the benefits of using the features in a particular way that help them get more value out of the product. And ultimately, that's what we want them to do is really get the value from their investment. And really that timeline of like 2 to 3 years before renewal is really what is our sense of urgency around making sure that we're driving adoption for the product.
Peter, what are the biggest challenges and successes you've seen with user adoption?
I would say that let's start with the successes. When customer success managers are able to demonstrate trustworthy product knowledge, well, they can be trustworthy just in terms of the way they relate to the customer. That's one thing. And when they are able to do that, just in kind of a human to human kind of way, that lowers barriers, I would say, and customers are more amenable to listening, trying to kind of understand what they need to do to maybe double down on their effort to do the kind of activities they need to do to get more value from the product. So in other words, adopt the product more. And then secondly, we need our customer success managers to demonstrate really good product credibility, I would say. And so successes come when those two factors are married together, I would say, like the trustworthiness of being kind of just a good human being and really a good business person that is providing good information in a kind of a relatable way, but at the same time, have some product depth, not necessarily like super expert on the product, but enough product depth to be able to kind of answer the typical questions a customer might have around, what features do I need to do to utilize to be able to kind of move towards this goal you're talking about, or that I need, that our leaders are saying we need to move towards. So if the customer success manager can do those things together, then that they have great success, and we see that a lot. And so, but the challenges are typically is when customers are disengaged from the effort, and that's not necessarily entirely their fault. Sometimes there's lots of activities on the customer side, and so we're trying to kind of compete with other priorities that they have, and sometimes the biggest challenge is getting their attention. And sometimes it's the fault of the customer success manager that just don't have the right kind of skills that we need them to have and to deploy that will hook the customer into kind of the right frame of mind to want to divert more energy towards doing the activities we need them to do with us to be able to move the success plan forward. So that's the biggest challenge, I would say, is when the customer is disengaged for some reason or another.
Peter, what advice would you like to share with people working on improving user adoption?
I've been at this a long time. I would say customer success professionals should work on, becoming, and this maybe sounds a little weird, becoming more like a salesperson in the sense that salespeople, as part of their role, need to be really good at persuading. And when I say persuasion, I'm not saying that in any sort of negative way at all. You want the audience that you're speaking with to understand what you're trying to communicate in terms of value of whatever you're trying to promote. And in the case of customer success managers, what they're trying to promote is kind of almost like an end state of the realization of their business goals, the customer's business goals. And that often requires, more often than not actually, requires customer success managers to be really good at, let's call it storytelling, painting a picture, being able to kind of describe the journey towards those achievements, and actually getting the customer excited and enthusiastic about participating in a big way in that journey. So I would say that would be my advice to people, is get really good at having an appreciation for, let's call it storytelling, some sort of sales techniques and tactics that allow you to become a better kind of conversationalist, and that you can kind of weave into your communications persuasive methods for rallying the customer around their cause of achieving their business goals. Sometimes, going back to what I said, you're competing with other priorities, and the way to secure their attention often requires you to kind of, let's call it a hook them into kind of your communication and keep their attention enough that they become more enthusiastic about participating with you.
Peter, where can we learn more about user adoption and your work on the subject?
Well, there's lots of material and content. I would recommend people, look on LinkedIn, on the customer success community. There's tons of people really freely sharing information about what they use to help customers adopt more of the product. So, it's pretty much an avalanche of information out there on LinkedIn. And so you just have to do searches on customer success. But in terms of, if you want to look at my work on the subject, I speak at a lot of conferences, the typical customer success conferences, Gainsight to Tango, Client Success, others, and the customer conference that's really running out of Europe, and lots of webinars. I'm on lots of webinars. So you can just search for my activities. I'm pretty much on webinars every couple of weeks of different people. And I'm on LinkedIn a lot. So people feel free to connect with me. I'm really active on that platform. Lots of conversations. I put material out there. And, I do a lot of writing for Oracle, the blogs for Oracle. We have our own customer success blog that's public facing that I write for. And you can just search on that, my name, Oracle Customer Success Blog, and you'll find Peter Armaly. And finally, I guess I would recommend people look on a company called Practical CSM. And I do a monthly webinar series with them, with Rick Adams, who's the CEO of that company. And we talk about what we call modern customer success. And it's a series just focused on a lot of the kind of both leadership requirements for customer success, but also the very tactical stuff. How do you set up the practice? What are the methods you need to really appreciate and understand and be able to deploy to really be successful at driving successful outcomes with customers?
Great. Well, thanks, Peter.
You're welcome, Henrik. It's my pleasure.
For more on this, visit useradoptionpodcast.com. Don't forget to please subscribe, rate, and review. And for a book about this, check out useradoptionbook.com. Tune in next week for the next episode. Thanks for listening.